All right, guys, the time has come. Thanks to Tim's Harley Davidson in Anderson, South Carolina. It's finally time to ride the CVO Road Glide ST. So I have put this bike on a dyno. I have done a full walk-around review, so be sure and check out both of those videos as they are their own separate standalone videos. But now I'm going to get on this bike and ride it and see what all the fuss is about. I'm super excited because, to be completely honest with you guys, I haven't been super excited to ride a new Harley Davidson in quite some time, and that's because I do get spoiled being able to ride all these new bikes all the time. I am very fortunate, but you kind of get numb to it, if that makes sense, you know, especially the models, say like the Road King Special or something that hasn't changed in a while. But this is basically an all-new bike, and people argue that because the Milwaukee 8 is not a new engine, although this engine is bigger and it is the same frame that we've had for a while. But the suspension, the brakes, the power upgrade, the high output 121, all that stuff is different. So I'm very excited to see what this thing is about. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but we're starting out in track mode, which is the mode that appeals the most to me. It's not for Kyle Wyman's personal information that he put out. It's not going to be your like red light to red light mode to really race this thing. So it's going to bring your throttle down just a little bit. So apparently there's a track and a track plus mode. And then in the track plus mode, I think it unlinks your brakes, that your front and rear brakes work separately, because by default they are linked. You know, the computer kind of takes over and does things for you, which is not what you want on the track. Looking at this bike, I have to say, this thing is really, really nice. The fit and finish, all the accents, I'm super happy. This being an ST, to see the bronze go away. I was a fan of it, but then I kind of got over it when I saw it so much on all the different models. So I do like the red accents. So while we are kind of stuck in this traffic, I want to talk about the riding position, the ergonomics and stuff. As you guys know, if you have watched any of my other Road Glide review videos, I absolutely hated the factory handlebars on the Road Glide. These feel great. Would I change them? Sure. I would get them slightly higher. I feel like the pullback is good. I would do a taller riser with a shorter bend in the bars, I think, but out of the box, this is not bad. Like, I could keep these and be perfectly happy. The riding position of my feet feels really good. Again, as you guys know, I prefer a mid control. These are more of like a forward floorboard, but they don't feel bad. My only gripe with them is they are kind of, so I can feel like my boot kind of sliding around on them. I wish there was a little bit more grip, which is unfortunate because I really love the way they look. So not having to change them would be great. Also, the seat. The seat feels amazing. There's really, really good support, like on the back of the seat. The lumbar support feels really good. Okay, a little third gear pull. A little low in the RPMs, but still felt strong. I've been told this bike really comes on around 3,000 RPMs, which is kind of the range that I let it live in anyway. And that's kind of, I guess my bike is more of a 3,500 RPM bike, but oh my God. This thing handles in the corners like a dream. Like this bike, you know, Harley gets a bad rap. Oh, they're super heavy, and they are. This bike is 838 pounds running order weight, I believe. That's a lot of motorcycle. It feels like nothing in these turns and stuff. It just absolutely wants to go. Yeah, I mean, the whole bike is buttery smooth. So the engine is smooth, the transmission is smooth, the suspension is smooth. I know I harp on adjusting the suspension for your weight. Obviously, this is a dealership bike, so I didn't bother to do that. But again, out of the box, however this suspension is set up, it feels great. The normal test ride route is to hang a left up here and go back, and I kinda don't want to do that. It's February 2nd. It is 62 degrees per my watch. I think it might be slightly warmer than that actually. And this bike feels amazing. And here's one of the reservations I had about riding this bike. As you can see, we're going to take a right, not a left. One of the reservations I had about riding this bike was I don't want to be tempted to buy this. I have plans to do other things with the channel that don't include buying a new CVO Road Glide ST, unfortunately. But after riding this thing, dude, I mean, I have zero complaints. And again, this is stock, you know. I tend to heavily modify all of my stuff, but out of the box, I loved Harley Davidson's Lowrider ST. I thought the suspension on that was great. The ergonomics was great. That bike needed very, very little to be something that I would enjoy. And this seems to be the same way. And yeah, we're staying in track mode, but it's an epic bike. I mean, the performance is there. So on this bike, you know, I said we did a video at Tim's where we put this thing on the dyno just to get the numbers. In track mode, which is what we're in, it made 114 horsepower, 150 foot-pounds of torque. There were a few comments saying, oh, out of a 121 I would expect more because my 114 with a cam and exhaust and an air cleaner and a tune got more. Displacement is not the end of the story, guys, but also keep in mind this bike from the factory has to be extremely corked up for EPA regulations. To meet the EPA requirements, the exhaust is super choked down, the tune is fairly mild. Keep all that stuff in mind when you're looking at those power numbers, because I guarantee you this thing has a massive intake on it already. So if you were to put an open exhaust on this bike and then do a good tune, this thing would make some very, very impressive numbers. In my opinion, it would be all you could really use. So I would say the 114 and 130 is all most people need. And people will argue that, and yeah, my personal bike makes a lot more than that, but I don't need it. I just did it because it was available to me to do. I would say look at Kyle Wyman's track times on this bike in its stock form, and then once you're laying down faster laps on a track than Kyle Wyman on this bike, don't worry about the power that it makes, because I assure you that it is plenty. And again, like I've ridden a lot of road glides. I built a road glide through Tim's Harley Davidson, a new ST model, and rode it all the way to Milwaukee and back, you know, and was able to get it set up how I wanted it, bars, riser seat, exhaust, etc. And it was great. This one feels better. And when I say feels better, I'm speaking in terms of like the suspension, the handling, you know, just being able to throw it around, put it exactly where you want it. Yeah, it's very confidence inspiring. I guess that would be the best way to put it. Is this is a bike I've never ridden. Just riding it for the first time. You guys are seeing that right now, and I feel at home on it. I feel like it's a bike I've ridden before. I feel like I know what it's going to do. I can expect, you know, how it's going to lay into certain corners and stuff. So for the sake of not making this video extremely long, I'll probably go ahead and wrap up with my final thoughts now before I actually get back to the dealership. But I've had this bike on a dyno. I've done a full walk around, so I've touched all the touch points, you know, I've seen, felt, you know, checked everything out. Now that I've ridden it, yeah, I've only ridden it 5 miles, but that's I've got a lot of experience riding motorcycles, and I don't mean, you know, I'm some amazing rider or anything crazy like that. I'm just saying I've been fortunate to ride every single Harley Davidson model throughout the years, ridden a lot of custom bikes, so I feel like I have a good grasp of what a good bike is and how a good bike should feel. And this is it. If you're thinking about buying one, I would say do it. And typically if you've got a 23 ST or something that you've already got set up for yourself, I wouldn't worry about it. I would still consider this. I would go to the dealership if I were you. I would talk to the sales team, and I would try to get a demo ride on one of these bikes, because I'm telling you, this thing is different. It's better in a lot of ways. Now, if you've got a Road Glide CVO, a 23 Road Glide CVO, well, you've got a similar suspension, at least in the front. You don't have the adjustability that I can remember on the front, and you don't have the Showa reservoir shocks, which is another thing. If you haven't watched the reviews, it's not the Screaming Eagle Öhlins on the back that a lot of people thought that it was going to be, myself included. It's Showa, and that's because Showa has a lockout on all new Harley Davidsons. If they come with suspension, which obviously all bikes do, then they must be Showa from the factory. I think the Screaming Eagle Öhlins reservoirs will still be available, but that's like an aftermarket deal, so that's something separate. Point being, guys, if you like the way this bike looks, you're interested in the characteristics of it and stuff, go look at it. Because I mean, for the money, so I think MSRP is $42,999. Obviously these bikes are new, so you're going to have Harley's additional fees that aren't necessarily advertised in that MSRP. Then you're going to have tax, tag, title, all that stuff. And again, with these bikes being new and so hot, dealerships are going to probably want a premium for them. But go talk to them, see what you can work out, because this bike is awesome. The hype is real. I gotta commend Harley Davidson. You know, I'm quick to cast judgment on them when I feel like they missed the mark, and there's not one single thing about this bike that I can say I don't like. I've said previously that the Lowrider ST was the best bike Harley Davidson has ever put out. I think the crown has shifted to the CVO Road Glide ST. I think this is easily the best motorcycle Harley Davidson has put out in stock form. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Please subscribe if you're not already. I know a lot of you watch my videos, and I greatly appreciate that, but I can see from the analytics that a lot of you are not actually subscribed. So hit that subscribe button. I'm trying my best to hit 50K by the end of the year. I'm at 38 right now, so it's doable with your help. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.